Entering high school was an opportunity for me to learn a lot more about myself and my peers. One day during lunch break, I was sitting in my math classroom around a table with 3 other girls that I had recently met. We began to casually chit-chat and talk about our childhoods when suddenly the girl sitting beside me asked the girl across from us, "You're an immigrant, right?" And before she could even finish asking her question, the girl sitting across began to gasp with a horrified look on her face. "What? No, I was born here, so I'm from here. Why would you call me that?" This girl was denying being an immigrant like it was some curse. I was sitting there in my hijab and my massive winter coat thinking, really? For me right then, there was a dawning realization of how little awareness young Canadians had about the people around them. For a privileged and well-educated teenager to find so much offense in a word that once represented courage and hard work is the direct impact of the harmful stereotypes that society can heap on immigrants' heads. Why is it that we are so ashamed to admit that our backgrounds consist of hard-working immigrants who have sacrificed so much for their loved ones? As Canadians, we're all descendants of immigrants at some point in our family's history, except for the Indigenous peoples on whose traditional, unceded lands we are located. Some of you here may be immigrants yourselves who made the choice to leave your country. My story is that of a refugee who was never given that option because she was born in the wrong place at the wrong time. My world completely changed in the January of 2015 when my single Afghan mother decided to leave everything behind and move to Indonesia to seek asylum with her 5 children. I was only 10 years old when I arrived in the small, rainy town of Cisarua, and I had no idea what to expect. I had just left behind my school and my friends, so I would spend the next few days dreaming about my future in Indonesia. And this shiny new dream would play over and over in my head as I would picture myself going back to school, making new friends, playing sports. However, my enthusiasm quickly vanished when my family found out that we had no legal rights to obtain education for as long as we were refugees in Indonesia. Now, I'm gonna be honest. At first, I was a little too happy I didn't have to go to school. Having nothing to do was really fun for the first week. Because after that, I began realizing it wasn't that I didn't want to go to school, it was that I couldn't go to school. Despite these harsh conditions, the small refugee community came together to organize, build, and run what is now known as the Refugee Learning Center. This place became a second home to countless refugee children, including myself, as it gave us a place to play, learn, and experiment. For the very first time, I had come across a safe haven, a space that allowed me to dream big and aim high. One specific day that I remember vividly is the day that the UNHCR, United Nations High Commission for Refugees, had sent a group of their caseworkers to my school for an information session. At the end of the day, it was time for the caseworkers to share predictions on what the future looks like for refugees in Indonesia. One of the caseworkers stepped forward, and she timidly began to say, "We are facing a massive increase in registration, and with the decline in the number of refugees that countries are accepting, it is possible that you stay in Indonesia for the coming 8 to 10 years. You can choose to stay, or you can go back to your home country anytime you wish." You can go back to your home country anytime you wish? Sitting there on that green carpeted floor and being told to my face that my future consisted of nothingness and uncertainty was devastating. I had a million thoughts racing through my head. What about my future? What about my siblings? I felt confused, but also shocked to find out that not only could the next 10 years of my life be spent in obscurity, but just how easy it was for them to tell us we could just go back. As if we were not the same people who were forced out of our homes due to the violence inflicted on our Hazara minority tribe. As if we had a choice in leaving our homelands and subjecting ourselves to poverty and discrimination. This is the situation facing over 13,000 stateless refugees in Indonesia who are being deprived of their basic human rights. There are innocent people who are being stripped of their freedom and safety as the rest of the world turns its back. Unlike many, my family and I had the opportunity to be one of the few lucky people who were able to escape and begin a new life here in Canada. Indonesia is known for having very rainy and gloomy weather, and we were looking forward to leaving all of that behind. So we ended up in Sunshine City, Vancouver. Being a high school student in Canada made me realize how much I valued social advocacy for those of us who were silenced. I also realized I am saving so much money on buying clothes because it's socially acceptable to wear pajamas to class. 3 years ago, I was living as a stateless refugee with no access to education. And today, I'm here to share the stories of those who fear they will never make it out. In the past, I didn't have a choice in leaving my country or living 5 years of my life frozen in time. But today, I have the luxury of choice. And I choose to use my education and my voice to speak out for those who struggle to find a place to call home. There needs to be a shift in thinking so that the right to live safe and secure without the fear of prejudice is an obvious right that stands tall in each and every one of us. Refugees shouldn't be limited to being lazy, illiterate, or burdensome. We should be seen in our becoming, in our unfolding as innovators and artists who are holding on to big dreams we are fighting to fulfill, to breathe into being. Canada has consistently ranked first among 26 countries when it comes to welcoming and accepting refugees. As valuable members of our society, we can do our part to make sure that refugees feel welcomed and supported. Next time you meet a refugee, listen to their story and try to empathize with their struggles. Staying informed about the recent developments when it comes to various refugee crises is the easiest step in allowing change to happen. And while it may be difficult for some of you to relate to refugees' struggles or sacrifices, we can all agree that being far from home is an isolating experience. So let us do our best to be a voice of advocacy for those who left their homes carrying nothing but the clothes on their back and the undying hope for a better tomorrow. I dream of a future where people are judged based on their actions and not their backgrounds. A future where that girl from math class can unapologetically claim her heritage without the fear of prejudice. At the end of the day, there is no light that shines brighter than the indomitable human spirit. Tashakkur. Thank you.